Assessment mission by the National Democratic Institute and the International Republican Institute reviewed the current political and electoral environment and process in the lead-up to the 2023 elections and offered recommendations to enhance citizen confidence and mitigate the potential for electoral violence. The mission was conducted to demonstrate international support for Nigeria's democratic purpose.
This second assessment mission reviewed changes in the electoral environment since July, assessed the status of recommendations offered by the previous delegation, and identified issues that can still be addressed between now and Election Day to promote an inclusive, transparent, credible, and peaceful process.
The NDI and IRI say they will deploy a joint international delegation to observe the 2023 presidential and National Assembly elections. One of the delegates says the many candidates in the election raises the possibility of a presidential runoff for the first time since Nigeria's transition to democracy in 1999. She also commented on the assurance given by the Chief of Defense Staff that the army will resist any pressure to sabotage the elections.
With regard to the military, and the notion that they might be pressured by some actor to undermine elections, of course that's incredibly worrying. And that the notion that undermining democratic elections is something that the international community must be worried about, must take seriously, and must find ways to address.
The bodies noted some improvements on the 2019 elections, but there are concerns about potential post-election violence. They identified insecurity as the primary risk factor for the 2023 elections.
The delegation heard widespread concern about the potential for strategic violence to be employed on Election Day to suppress the vote in strongholds of opposing parties. Violence against politically active women is similarly a major problem, affecting women's participation in the electoral process.
The delegation says candidate debates are unique opportunities for voters to compare party and candidate platforms, although not all candidates are participating in debates, hampering their ability to share their platforms with voters.
Media stakeholders raise concerns about access to the leading candidates and their lack of participation in national debates and other forums for communicating directly with the people. An example of this emerged during the assessment when a leading candidate was absent from the first presidential town hall meeting hosted by Arise TV in partnership with Civil Society on December 4th, 2022.
In order to conduct a credible and peaceful election come 2023, the NDI and IRI made other recommendations.
INEC should publish information on how many citizens claim their PVCs for each polling unit to provide an accurate account of the number of voters who could cast votes on Election Day, as that number will be used to estimate turnout. Parties should desist from vote buying, voter suppression, hate speech, and ethnic polarization.
This phase of the pre-election assessment focuses and identifies the observations in the first phase of the project carried out back in July. The issues are reviewed and are to be revamped before Election Day. Thuraya Farouk, Arise News.